Welcome to the Koreanbuilds Champion Insight. The patch is 7.19 and our featured champion is Ezreal, played in the jungle. In patch 7.15 and 7.17, Ezreal's Q had its cooldown reduced and scaling increased. Surprisingly, this allowed him to be played in the jungle effectively. Currently, Ezreal is the most played jungler in high-end Korean solo queue. His success can be explained with his ability to kite melee enemies, proc red buff from a range, and siege down towers effectively before the laning phase has even ended. This makes him a perfect jungler to accelerate and win games quickly and efficiently climb the solo queue ladder. Stormrider's Surge is essential to Jungle Ezreal's success. In combination with red buff, it lets him chase down or kite enemies after his initial burst rotation. Other noteworthy masteries are Runic Affinity to make more of his precious jungle buffs, Precision, and Greenfather's Gift. His ideal rune page is a standard AD carry page with 5% cooldown reduction. Mystic Shot will be maxed first and Arcane Shift second. Since Essence Flux doesn't deal damage to jungle monsters, don't take it before level 4. After the preseason update, Jungle Ezreal will likely stick to Phase Rush, which is the replacement to Stormrider's Surge. Overall, the update might be a nerf to Ezreal, with the dual stat Precision and Natural Talent out of the game. Warrior's Enchantment on his Skirmisher's Saber is what Jungle Ezreal wants to get first. After that, the next item is usually a Trinity Force, but also Duskblade is a viable option to snowball the game if ahead. After those two items, Blade of the Ruined King is the next best damage item, while Morph Malmortius and Guardian Angel are effective ways to stay alive. Mercurial's Scimitar and the Last Whisper upgrades can be bought on demand, and boots can be either Berserker Graves, Ninja Tabi, or some Koreans also like to go Boots of Swiftness. A common start for Jungle Ezreal is to start with red buff, gank mid lane right away at level 2, then proceed to blue buff and Gromp to reach level 3. This works better on blue side with the help of bot lane. Other than that, he wants to clear a buff, proceed to wolves, clear the second buff, and then gank or counter jungle. Ezreal is extremely dominant in the early game with only a red buff. He can safely start a fight with almost any jungle opponent, or just pressure them and steal their camps. When ganking, Ezreal has a lot of possible approaches with his E. If he manages to proc Stormrider's Surge on the enemy, he can follow up with auto attacks and Qs, very often resulting in at least a burnt flash for the enemy. Another thing he can do is enter a pushed lane and force the enemy away from the tower, or straight up dive them. When successful, he can quickly rack up a lot of damage on the structure thanks to his W and passive. Being able to fire his ultimate from Fog of War makes Jungle Ezreal specifically scarce. While Ezreal is not particularly bad at teamfights, he is not as useful as a Jarvan or Sejuani. For that reason, he might be in trouble if the team lacks a frontline and fails to snowball the early game hard enough. In this clip, we can see the Korean player
작전동 노란머리
taking a lot of damage in a level 1 fight. He still decides to take down red buff, using Smite to heal up a portion of his lost health. The enemy Kassadin doesn't expect an early gank and dies at level 1. After taking down blue buff,
노란머리
proceeds straight to the top lane, securing a second kill for his team. Ezreal can buff himself with Essence Flux by Arcane Shifting right into it. Arcane Shift can be used to resist displacement effects when used just in the right moment.